Hey, in this video, I'm going to walk you through what I sometimes call the Happier Habits Project, but it's really just a project or a guide that I've developed based on like years of researching behavioral psychology and reading different books on behavior change, habit formation, etc., and working with this both one-to-one and with organizations like the U.S. Army National Guard. And so you're going to get in this video a very practical step-by-step guide of like, if you just do this and follow along with this outline, which I'll include down below, like you will, I call it engineer, but like you will actually stick to a new habit or new resolution, right? Whatever it is, you just do these steps and it is like super simple, super fast. I got 5 rules here that we're going to go through one at a time and you'll be taken care of, okay? So stick with me here. We're going to get to this document in just a second. But you gotta understand something first, okay? So let's think about, you look down here at the little circle video where I'm talking to you for a second. I was like 20 years old, okay? It was like the night of the national championship. I was at the University of Alabama, the biggest night of the year, the most popular bar, had a line of people down the street, like 200 people probably. The cover charge you had to pay to just get into the bar, kind of ridiculous, but I think it was like $100, $150 or something like that. So you can think about this, right? And a final piece here, this bar was one of the bars that we say is like hard on IDs. So I was 20. If you had a fake ID, not that I did or ever would consider such a thing, but if you can imagine someone who may have had a fake ID, it wouldn't work there, okay? So I'm 20 years old, lying down the block, $100 to get in. I'm like, I have all the motivation in the world. I have all the willpower, and I know exactly what I want. I got to get inside. I have friends inside. There was a girl I was talking to inside. Like, I have to get inside. And so I'm starting to think, well, can I pay off the bouncer? Can I, like, I don't know, fight the bouncer? Can I try to just run past him? Can I look and climb in through the roof in the back? It's like I had all this motivation and all this willpower. I had exactly what I knew what I wanted. I had the goal. I had the desire. But I started to realize that wasn't going to work, okay? And so I changed my frame a bit, and I ended up walking over to this kind of quick trip takeaway fast food place right across the street, got a brown paper bag. I stopped back at my apartment and got a baseball cap and a jacket. And I walked up to the bouncer and I said, hey, I have an Uber Eats for Sarah in the back. And he's kind of like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, Sarah, I don't know, she's like working or something to shift, but I don't know, she just wanted me to drop this off. It's a long shift. And he kind of looks at me, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. So I walk into the bar, I find my friends, I ditch my hat, ditch that brown paper bag, and I spend the rest of the night there for the national championship. So this story is really important for happiness and for habit formation and behavior change and actually achieving your goals. Not if your goal is to sneak into a bar or something like that, but it really is a fundamental shift. And I sometimes say it's going from like habit building to habit engineering. Okay, instead of relying on motivation and willpower and goal setting and I know what I want, I just have to work harder. Okay, that approach is overrated. Think about it like this. Happy people, successful people, and maybe more unsuccessful people and less happy people, like they all have the same goals, right? We all want to be millionaires with 6-packs and the happiest people who ever lived, right? Well, then why is it that some people achieve more of that and others don't? Well, I believe it is the shift that we're talking about right here. So how do we go from relying on just desire and motivation and willpower to actual creativity and intelligence to make the desired behavior a reality? Okay, so that's what we're going to learn about here. And you got to understand this, right? Because especially when it comes to like our happiness and our well-being and even our success in general. The psychologist from Yale, who has a really popular course on happiness called Laurie Santos, she talks about the G.I. Joe fallacy. G.I. Joe fallacy says knowing isn't doing, okay? Knowing is not half the battle. Knowing is like 10% of the battle, and 90% is actually getting yourself to engage consistently in the behaviors that'll take you to the things that you know you want, right? It's like we all know we should probably read more books and sleep more and exercise more and eat a little healthier and spend a little less time on our phone and be more loving in our relationships with our friends and family and be more productive and focused at work. But then it's like, how do you actually do those things that every year we set out to do as a New Year's resolution and very often we don't stick to, okay? So that's what we're getting here, all right? So without further ado, I want to jump into this document and you can follow along with this. There's links down below to get your own copy. And there's a bunch of these areas, right, where you're just plugging in your information, okay? So I'm going to take you through these 5 key rules. I think there are 5, right? Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 key rules to build a lasting habit in any area, whether it's your work or your life, whether it's success or fulfillment. You can just apply these principles, and I want you to pick something and run it through this framework with me, okay? So happiness habits project 4, right? This would just be insert your name. I'm going to do it actually through the story of a soldier that I worked with in the U.S. military that had a really profound shift by applying some of these principles. So, right, whatever that person, your first name, probably just do your first name is enough. Okay, so this is your habits project, right? And if you're not so focused on happiness, you can call it whatever sounds good to you. Up here at the top, right, this kind of this initial setup is just something called identity-based change. Okay, and this I am part here that I'm going to have you fill in just speaks to the fact that behaviors that are not really aligned with your identity typically don't last. Right? Think about it like someone who's maybe trying to quit drinking, right? And they say you can imagine two people, and one of them's like, "Hey, you want to have a beer tonight?" And the one's like, "Well, what kind?" Or, "Well, I guess it's a Friday. Is anyone else going?" Right? Kind of that flippy floppy. I don't know. What if the other person who just says, "Hey, I don't drink," or "I'm not a drinker," or "Yeah, I'll have one glass of wine. Like once in a while, I'll have one glass of wine, but that's really it. Like I don't drink." Notice a subtle shift there, right? And it has to do with their level of identity. And I've heard this said before is you have to choose the type of person you want to become and then prove it to yourself with small actions. Every action or habit you engage in is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So, right, I am, whether it's fitness, right, identifying as an athlete, or I'm someone who cares for my physical well-being and wants to be a role model for health for my friends and family. Whether it's more like you want to read more books and learn, right? I am a learner, I am a reader, I am a leader. And whether it's, I don't know, something else, whatever that thing is, right? How does this relate to your identity? The type of person you want to be. Okay, so write a sentence about that. And again, like if you're starting to think, well, what do I start with here? Like what's the goal? Just, think of something that's, as we think about this, building out this habit, think of maybe a habit that is important to you that you haven't been able to stick to in a while. And who would be the type of person that would stick to that? Okay, so here's an example that I'll run through as we go through this, right? This soldier we worked with in one of our seminars, he said, well, I guess I just want to be a better dad and a better husband, like a better, parent, better role model, whatever. Is that a relatable goal? Would you like to be a better partner to your significant other? If you have kids, would you like to be a better father or mother? If you have parents, would you like to be a better kid? Right? Like, yeah, it's pretty relatable, right? So he says, I am, and he's like, I am a great father and role model. And maybe he even says, like, I am a loving husband, caring father, and role model to my family. Whatever. Hey, not an exact science, just something getting at that level of identity. And then, here's the next step. You're inserting some sort of habit that's going to prove who you are. Right? Remember what I said, okay? Every time you take an action or you engage in a habit or a behavior, it's basically a vote for or against that identity. So the question becomes, how could you prove to yourself that this is not BS, that you really are that type of person? And stay with me here because we're going to refine this as we go. And so in his case, he said something like, I will be more positive. Yeah, I will be more positive with my kids and wife, okay? And then finally, why is this important to you? Which goes back to that identity. And you can probably list a ton of reasons here, right? I mean, why is it important to you to be a better husband or a better parent and more positive with your wife and kids, right? Or whatever your habit is to you. Why we'll do this? Create some emotionally compelling reasons, right? Like, I want to be a great dad. I want to have passion and love in my marriage. I want to show my kids I love them. I want to be, right, whatever, okay? So there's a lot you can put there. And if you need to pause this video at any time, obviously feel free. So here's where we start to get into the like nitty gritty of this, so to speak. Sorry for the drink. It's like, okay, how do we take this very nebulous goal or kind of ideal habit of, yeah, I want to be more positive, I want to be a better dad, or I want to read more, or I want to lose 10 pounds and my habit is I want to exercise and eat healthier, or I want to be more focused and more productive at work. This is the part where we need to go from desire and motivation and willpower to like engineering a very concrete, tangible behavior where we're using our creativity and our intelligence to make a system, okay? And so the first step is You want to make it simple, make it easy, and make it into a verb, okay? Something tangible that will be your habit, right? That small scaled down repeating behavior. So make it too easy. You have to have a habit before you can scale it or improve it. So what is the smallest, easiest possible version of your habit? And remember, you're thinking about this in terms of something like tangible and concrete, okay? And so look at this. In this example, it can become, and this is actually what we did in the workshop with him. It's like, well, I want to be more positive and be a better dad. And it's like, okay, no, that's not a tangible, specific, small, easy action. But you know what is I will create one small positive interaction with my family every day. Okay? See again how we've taken that big ambiguous thing of be a better dad, be more positive, into a small, easy, simple habit. And then note here, once you've done this, replace your habit in the thing at the top of the page, okay? So next step then is to replace this. My habit is create one positive interaction with my family every day. Okay. And so again, other examples of this, right, would be I want to spend more time like developing myself this year. Okay. Well, that becomes, it can be every day, every week. It can be some mixture of the two, but whatever you think is a good start. It says, I will read for 15 minutes, 5 days a week. I will, let's say the weight loss or the exercise one becomes, I will go to the gym for 30 minutes, 3 days a week. Or a diet one. Okay, this is a simple hack that you can help if you're trying to lose weight. A lot of weight loss, not to get too in the weeds, but it has to do with caloric density. So you can imagine like one small Starbucks mocha latte has like 500 calories. Okay, and it's like this big. If you look, I don't know why I just made that little heart. That's annoying. So you imagine that versus 500 calories worth of like cherries would literally be a bag of cherries, or 500 calories worth of apple slices would be like a literal gallon bag of cut up apples, or 500 calories worth of chicken breast, you probably couldn't even eat because it would literally be a mountain, like a platter of roast chicken breast. So your habit might be before each meal, I will have a large glass of water and a large apple. Okay, right? Because that's going to fill up your stomach with healthy food and fiber before you eat whatever you're going to eat. Okay, so the idea here again, you're taking something really big picture with your habit. I want to be more positive. I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better leader. Okay, and what would that be? An easy, small thing that's very tangible that you could do consistently. I'll read for 10 minutes. I'll exercise for 30 minutes. I'll take a cold shower. I'll plan out my day for 15 minutes with my most important tasks, whatever, okay? So next step is you need to make a plan, okay, which sounds so simple, but it's time blocking, it's written plan, it's reminders. Because think about how many times have you had this happen to you? You run into someone and it's like, oh, it's so good to see you, dude. We should catch up. And they're like, oh, yeah, we should catch up soon. Yeah, we'll catch up soon. And then what happens? Nothing. Because you didn't say when and where you would execute the behavior. Right? It's called an implementation intention in the psychology literature. So simple, but so important. When and where you're going to do the thing, you need an actual trigger to trigger the behavior, to specify the behavior, to have a certain cue for when you're going to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So again, just using this example that I worked with a soldier on, we said, when would like a natural cue be? And it said, well, when I don't know why that didn't do that. Okay. When I walk into the house from work, I will create one positive interaction. And we can even get one level more specific. Well, what would that be? And, you know, when you come into work, that's only 5 days a week. So when I walk into the house from work, I will create one positive interaction. And when I walk into the house from running an errand, I will create one positive interaction. Examples would be a hug, a kiss, a smile, a compliment, a gift, a gratitude. What else could be like fun? Like a joke. Okay, there's so many things you could do. But look what we just did. We went from total pie in the sky, I'm going to be a better dad and be more positive, to easy, clear plan Every day when I walk into the house, I will do one positive interaction, a hug, a kiss, a smile, a compliment, a gratitude, whatever. Okay, so that's the next step here. When, where, and if it's applicable for how long. And now there's two ways you can do this, right? This way is inserting into your current routine with a existing trigger. So it's like whenever I walk into the house, I will X. After I have my morning coffee, I will blank. After I eat lunch, I will blank. The other way is to just use time blocking. Use your calendar. I will exercise 30 minutes Monday, Wednesday through Friday at 5 o'clock at the gym near my house. I will read for 15 minutes at 1 p.m. right after lunch, Monday through Friday at my desk. I will meditate for 10 minutes every morning at 7:15 or before my morning coffee in my corner of my living room where I have a little meditation cushion set up. Okay, so many applications here, but what we're doing is making it simple, making it tangible, remember, and making an actual plan of after I blank, I will blank, or at blank time, I will blank in the location and the duration, okay? So again, turning it into a verb. I want to be healthier becomes I will exercise at blank, or when I eat, I will blank. I want to be a better leader becomes I will read for 15 minutes on blank, or Monday and Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I will hold a time block to develop our organizational development strategy. Okay, wait, there's infinite applications of this. And so this is that second step, right? You're making a plan, clear behavior-based plan. And if you want to edit your habit thing up here, right? So when I walk into the house, I will create one positive interaction with my family every day. Beautiful. Okay, what's next? You got to track it. Okay, what gets measured gets managed. And I will actually show you an example of this. Hopefully it doesn't screw up my whole formatting. But if you can check out this screen for a second, right? So I will just give you a brief example. This is all my key tracking that I look at like checklist style. Okay, you don't want to have maybe this many habits to start, but I have my body, I have my mind training, and I literally just have like a checklist version of all of these core habits. Okay, if you look at my little circle down here, the way I do this is like I have this little journal that I keep on my bed, my pillow. Okay, in it I write down one thing I'm thankful for that day, every day. And then inside it, you can kind of see, let me turn my lights off. I have this like checklist of stuff. And so what's on that checklist are my core habits. For me, they're things like basically my physical health, my psychological health, and my relationship health. And then some key work goals, right? I check those off every night. So maybe you have a checklist. Maybe you have a jar that you put marbles in. Maybe you have sticky notes. Maybe you have calendar tasks. It doesn't matter. The point is what gets measured gets managed. If I were to ask you, well, like how much time are you investing in your professional development? Or how much time are you investing in your physical health? Or how much time, you want to be a better dad and be more positive, right? How much time are you investing in that? This is a way to create accountability. And so whatever that looks like for you, the idea here is that let's say 1 month from now, you need to be able to answer the question, am I successful? Or how have I been doing? And that doesn't count. If you say, well, I guess I've been like, okay, I think I've done it a few times. BS. No, you need to be able to say, this was my specific habit. This is what I committed to. And 20 out of 30 days, I have completed it. All right, so just write down, what is your tracking system going to be? So for this guy, you say, I will have a printout 30-day calendar on my pillow, and every day I do the habit, I check a box, then I review with my wife each month, all right? And she's going to tell you about it if you're not sticking to it, so that's great to have an accountability partner. So you can imagine now, right? Like, we're engineering this so that you're going to stick to it, because this not made up, this is basically what we did with this soldier, but he's got a 30-day grid of boxes on his pillow. Every day as he lays down, and you got to pick that thing up and say, oh, when I walked in today, did I, give my kids a hug and tell them I love them? They say, oh, I did. Good job. Check. Okay. And then you can actually track how you're doing, and that's where you're going to get momentum and consistency. Okay. So that's your next step. Next, create a supportive environment. Now, this is going to be more relevant for some habits than for others, but consider this. I once did about 3 hours of meditation a day. no caffeine, no nicotine, no drugs, no alcohol, fully vegetarian. And I did that for like 90 days, and it was actually extremely easy. And the reason for that is because I was living with Zen monks in a monastery during a practice period. And so if I wanted alcohol, if I wanted, well, drugs, I don't really do drugs, but whatever, you get my point, nicotine, I would have had to like hike over a mountain into the town and try to go buy them. And so it was actually really easy to that. Same thing. There was a big wake up bell at 4:15 and everyone walked to the meditation hall to sit for multiple hours. Okay, so it was really easy because my environment changed. So how can you create a supportive environment? And this also relates to like people and groups, right? I had a bunch of Zen monks around me and other people who were studying with Zen monks. So again, some applications here, diet and exercise, right? Can you get some equipment at your house? Or can you buy a gym membership? Can you get a personal trainer? Can you join a group fitness class so that you have other people around you? Instead of focusing on eating healthier, focus on stop buying junk food and stop buying alcohol. Okay, and so anything you can do to just make this environment more supportive so that you can eliminate bad habits and improve or support your good habits. So in this case, right, I will have a sticky note reminder, let's say, on my steering wheel. How else could we make this habit like a more supportive environment? I will tell my wife and kids to remind me. So if you walk through the door maybe a little bit grumpy and you're gonna forget, right? They can they can remind you. I will put my phone on do not disturb as I leave work so that you remember. Okay, right? All of these little things you can do to make the behavior more likely and eliminate potential distractions, right? Okay. So finally, don't allow zeros. Okay, this is a big rule. 100% of success when it comes to this plan and your habits is literally just showing up. Because you've engineered this plan, all you have to do is stick to it and show up. Missing once, consider that a mistake. We all make mistakes. But allowing that to justify another miss is creating a new pattern or a new habit. Okay, right? Think about that. How often does it ever happen to you? I know I've struggled with this in my life where you're like trying to stick to a diet and you mess up once and then you're like, screw it, I'll just go crazy and start next week. Doesn't make sense, right? If you mess something up, try not to put up back-to-back zeros because that derails your chain of momentum. So whether you're doing this every day or maybe a few days a week or even once a week, right? If your habit is like once a week, I will take a full day off and, I don't know, go to church and hang out with my family, right? Like a Sabbath. Just go back the next week and hit it, right? You have to recover gracefully. And so maybe you can write down how will you recover or simplify your habit if you miss a day, right? And if you see yourself missing consistently, that means it might be too hard. Okay, you said, I'm going to run for 45 minutes a day and run a marathon. Well, maybe you start with 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes every other day. So a couple options here. A couple ways that you could recover here is I will do 2 the next day if I miss. If I miss the next day, I will have my wife and kids remind me. What else could you do? What are common obstacles that could get in the way of this specific habit? If I am working remote, then I will, because then you wouldn't be walking through the door coming home, then I will send myself an email scheduled to deliver at 5 p.m. as a reminder, right? Okay, so just trying to make sure if you mess something up, how will you get back on track? How will you keep consistently here? Make a few notes there, okay? So now to just review this whole thing. Look, this was a pretty intense process we just did, and you can pause this video, of course, and go back through if you need to. But the big idea here, again, is that we just went from something that's kind of like big picture, I want to be a better dad and husband, right? I want to be more positive, to what does that actually mean in reality in a system of behaviors that you stick to? You just engineered the habit, okay? And it's easy. All you have to do is follow this plan. Every day when I walk into the house, I will create one positive interaction with my family. A hug, a kiss, a smile, a compliment, a gift of gratitude. And then when I go to bed, I'm going to have a printed out checklist on my pillow to track if I'm doing it. And I've told my wife and kids about it. I have a sticky note on my steering wheel. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. I have all these reminders set up. I can email myself, right? Like, it's all set up. I'm just going to stick to it. And in 90 days of doing this consistently, you're going to be more positive and a better dad and a better family, because we went from like that outputs and goals, right, to how do you actually engineer a habit. Okay, and so I hope that this works like for you. If you want more support on this of like how to engineer a habit like this and coaching, like feel free to contact me via email, website, whatever it is. And you can go back up here and refine this stuff up top. But literally, like, this is just your plan. If you just fill this out and stick to it, you're going to be taken care of, right? You're going from how do I just take, I want to be better, I want to be X, or I know this is good for my happiness, to all you have to do, stick to the plan. Okay, that's the beauty of a habits project. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I wish you luck.